The history of Halloween, from ancient rituals to modern celebrations. Halloween, one of the most anticipated nights of the year, is celebrated every October 31st. In 2025, Halloween will fall on a Friday, filling the weekend with spooky fun, costumes, and festive gatherings. But where did this mysterious and exciting holiday actually come from? The story of Halloween stretches back thousands of years to ancient Celtic traditions, evolving through history into the celebration we know today. The origins of Halloween can be traced to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. Around 2,000 years ago, the Celts lived across what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France. For them, November 1st marked the beginning of a new year, the end of summer and harvest, and the start of the dark, cold winter. This period was often linked to death and the supernatural. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the living and the dead became blurred. On October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, a night when the spirits of the dead were thought to return to earth. People lit large bonfires, wore costumes made of animal skins, and offered food to ward off wandering spirits. These rituals were meant to protect their homes and ensure a safe transition into the harsh winter months. Centuries later, as Christianity spread across Europe, many pagan traditions were adapted rather than erased. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, a day to honor all saints and martyrs. The night before became known as All Hallows Eve, which eventually evolved into the name we use today, Halloween. Over time, Halloween transformed from a night of sacred rituals into a community-centered celebration. By the 19th and 20th centuries, especially in North America, it became a holiday filled with trick-or-treating, pumpkin carving, costume parties, and sweet treats. These modern customs still echo ancient themes of remembering the dead, confronting fears, and celebrating the turning of the seasons. From ancient Celtic bonfires to modern jack-o'-lanterns, Halloween's long journey through history reveals how deeply this holiday is rooted in human culture and imagination. What started as a way to honor the spirits has become a joyful night of creativity and fun, a living reminder of our timeless fascination with the mysterious and the unknown. Ancient Celtic rituals and Roman influence, the origins of Halloween traditions. The Celts believed that during Samhain, when the veil between worlds grew thin, the spirits of the dead roamed freely among the living. While these wandering souls could cause trouble or damage crops, their presence also brought something deeply meaningful. The Celts thought that this supernatural closeness made it easier for druids, or Celtic priests, to predict the future. For a people whose survival depended on the unpredictable forces of nature, such prophecies offered a sense of comfort and control during the long, dark winter. To honor this sacred night, the Druids built massive bonfires, towering beacons meant to connect the human world with the divine. Communities gathered around these sacred flames to offer sacrifices of crops and animals to their gods, hoping to ensure safety and prosperity through the harsh months ahead. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes made from animal heads and skins, disguising themselves to confuse or ward off malevolent spirits. They danced around the fire, shared stories, and even told each other's fortunes, believing that the energy of Samhain could reveal glimpses of what lay ahead. When the festival ended, people took home embers from the sacred bonfire to relight their own hearth fires, a symbolic act meant to protect their families and homes throughout the coming winter. By around AD 43, the Roman Empire had conquered most of the Celtic lands, bringing new customs and beliefs that gradually merged with the ancient Celtic traditions. During the 4 centuries of Roman rule, 2 Roman festivals became intertwined with Samhain. The first was Feralia, a late October day when Romans honored the souls of the dead. The second was a celebration dedicated to Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Pomona's symbol was the apple, and her influence is likely the reason why the tradition of bobbing for apples remains a popular Halloween game even today. Through these cultural blends, the ancient roots of Halloween began to evolve, shaping the mystical, harvest-filled spirit that continues to define this beloved holiday. From Samhain to All Saints' Day, the Christian transformation of Halloween. The evolution of Halloween took a major turn with the rise of Christianity across Europe. On May 13, 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV dedicated the Pantheon in Rome to honor all Christian martyrs, establishing the feast known as All Martyrs' Day. A century later, Pope Gregory III expanded the festival to include all saints as well as martyrs, moving its observance to November 1st. This new holy day became known as All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day. By the 9th century, the influence of Christianity had reached deep into the Celtic regions, where ancient pagan traditions began to blend with Christian beliefs. Around the year 1000, the Church designated November 2nd as All Souls' Day, a day to honor the dead. Many historians believe this was an intentional effort by the Church to replace the pagan festival of Samhain with a more Christian observance that still respected the theme of remembering the departed. All Souls' Day was celebrated in a manner strikingly similar to Samhain. People lit great bonfires, held processions, and dressed up as saints, angels, and devils. The celebration of All Hallows' Day soon led people to refer to the evening before, the traditional night of Samhain, as All Hallows' Eve, which eventually evolved into the name we know today, Halloween. How Halloween came to America. When Halloween traditions crossed the Atlantic, they took on a new identity. In colonial New England, strict Protestant beliefs kept Halloween celebrations limited. However, in Maryland and the southern colonies, the holiday found more acceptance. As various European immigrants and indigenous traditions blended, a uniquely American version of Halloween began to emerge. Early festivities included play parties, gatherings held to celebrate the harvest, where neighbors would share ghost stories, tell fortunes, dance, and sing. These community events laid the foundation for the friendly, social spirit of Halloween in America. By the mid-19th century, autumn festivals had become common throughout the United States, though Halloween itself was not yet a national event. That began to change in the second half of the 19th century, when millions of Irish immigrants fleeing the Great Famine brought with them their rich Celtic folklore and Halloween customs. These influences helped transform Halloween into a widely celebrated American holiday. The history of trick-or-treating. As Halloween grew in popularity, new traditions took shape. Drawing inspiration from old European customs, Americans began to dress in costumes and go door to door, asking for food or money, a practice that gradually evolved into the modern tradition of trick-or-treating. In earlier times, young women believed that Halloween night held special powers for divination. They performed playful rituals with apple peels, mirrors, or yarn to catch glimpses of their future husbands, a fascinating reminder of how superstition and romance once mingled with the supernatural. By the late 1800s, Halloween was undergoing another transformation. Community leaders and newspapers encouraged families to make the holiday more about friendship and togetherness than about ghosts and witchcraft. Parties for children and adults became common, featuring seasonal games, festive foods, and creative costumes. As the 20th century approached, efforts to remove anything frightening or grotesque from the celebrations succeeded in reshaping Halloween into a family-friendly holiday. The once religious and mystical night had evolved into a joyful occasion centered around community, creativity, and fun. Halloween parties and the rise of a modern tradition. By the 1920s and 1930s, Halloween had become a community-centered, secular holiday in the United States. Parades filled city streets, and town-wide Halloween parties became the highlight of the season. Yet despite these efforts to promote community spirit, mischief and vandalism became increasingly common during this time, challenging the festive atmosphere in many neighborhoods. By the 1950s, with the post-war baby boom bringing a surge of young families, local leaders worked to restore order and turn Halloween into a safer, child-focused holiday. Celebrations moved from town centers into classrooms and homes, where parties could be better organized for families and children. Between 1920 and 1950, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating returned to popularity. Going door-to-door became an inexpensive way for communities to come together. Families could enjoy the fun, and prevent pranks, by offering children small treats instead of tricks. A new American Halloween tradition was born, one that has continued to evolve and thrive for generations. Today, Halloween is one of the most beloved holidays in the United States. Americans now spend over $11 billion each year on costumes, decorations, candy, and events, making Halloween the second-largest commercial holiday after Christmas. Halloween on the big screen. As Halloween grew into a cultural phenomenon, it quickly found a place in Hollywood. Scary Halloween movies became box office favorites and helped shape the imagery and mood we associate with the holiday. One of the most famous examples is the Halloween franchise, beginning with the 1978 original directed by John Carpenter and starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, and Nick Castle. The film's chilling story of Michael Myers, a masked killer who returns to his hometown on Halloween night, redefined the horror genre and became a cultural touchstone. The franchise continued with sequels, including the 2018 reboot and its follow-ups, Halloween Kills, 2021, and Halloween Ends, 2022. Carpenter's haunting soundtrack and minimalist style inspired generations of slasher films such as Scream, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. But Halloween isn't just about scares. More family-friendly classics like Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, and It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown have also become seasonal staples, bringing joy and nostalgia to households every October. All Souls Day and the origin of soul cakes. The tradition of trick-or-treating has even deeper roots that stretch back centuries to medieval England. During All Souls Day parades, the poor would beg for food, and families would offer small pastries called soul cakes in exchange for prayers for their deceased loved ones. The church encouraged this custom as a Christian alternative to leaving food and wine for wandering spirits, a practice that dated back to pagan times. Known as going a-sowling, the tradition was later adopted by children, who went door to door singing songs and receiving food, ale, or coins. The origins of Halloween costumes. The custom of dressing in costumes on Halloween is rooted in both European and Celtic traditions. Centuries ago, the coming of winter was a frightening and uncertain time. Food was scarce, nights were long, and people feared the dark and what might lurk within it. It was believed that on Halloween night, when the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin, ghosts could return to the world of the living. To avoid being recognized by these wandering spirits, people began to wear masks and disguises, hoping the ghosts would mistake them for fellow spirits. Many households also placed bowls of food outside their homes to appease restless souls and keep them from entering. Over time, these protective rituals evolved into the light-hearted costume and candy traditions we celebrate today. From ancient rituals to a global celebration. From the Celtic fires of Samhain to modern-day parades, parties, and horror films, the history of Halloween is a fascinating journey through time. What began as an ancient festival to honor the dead and protect the living has transformed into a night of creativity, fun, and community that connects cultures across the world. Every Halloween night, as jack-o'-lanterns glow and children laugh through the streets, we continue a tradition thousands of years in the making, a celebration that reminds us how deeply the past still lives within the present. Black cats, ghosts, and Halloween superstitions. Halloween has always been a holiday steeped in mystery, magic, and superstition. Its earliest origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, a time when people felt closest to the spirits of their deceased loved ones. During those nights, the Celts would set places at the dinner table, leave offerings on doorsteps, and light candles to guide friendly spirits back to the world of the living. But as the centuries passed, the spirits of Halloween began to take on a more haunting form. Today's ghosts are often portrayed as frightening or vengeful, and our Halloween superstitions reflect that shift. Many of us still avoid crossing paths with black cats, a fear rooted in medieval Europe, when people believed that witches could transform into black cats to move unseen through the night. Other common Halloween superstitions have equally fascinating origins. Walking under ladders is thought to bring bad luck, a belief that may come from the ancient Egyptians, who viewed the triangle as a sacred symbol of life. Or perhaps it's simply because walking under a leaning ladder was always a risky move. Even today, we are cautious about breaking mirrors, stepping on cracks, or spilling salt, all echoing old beliefs that misfortune could be invited by careless actions, especially around Halloween, when the barrier between worlds was said to be thin and mysterious forces were at play. Halloween matchmaking and forgotten rituals. Long before Halloween became a night of costumes and candy, it was also a time for fortune-telling and love rituals. Many of these traditions, now nearly forgotten, focused on the future rather than the past, and on the living rather than the dead. In 18th century Ireland, a matchmaking cook might hide a ring in her mashed potatoes on Halloween night, believing that whoever found it would soon find true love. Across the sea in Scotland, young women used hazelnuts to divine their romantic fate. Each nut was named for a suitor and tossed into the fire. The nut that burned steadily symbolized the man she would marry, while the one that burst apart foretold a love that would not last. Other rituals took on a more mystical tone. It was said that if a young woman ate a mixture of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before going to bed on Halloween night, she would dream of her future husband. Some tossed apple peels over their shoulders, hoping the shape that fell would reveal their true love's initials. Others gazed into mirrors by candlelight, expecting to see the face of the one they were destined to marry. At lively Halloween gatherings, these fortune games became friendly competitions. The first person to find a bird during a chestnut hunt or the first to catch an apple while bobbing was said to be the next to marry. While these customs might sound quaint or even strange today, they reveal how deeply Halloween has always been tied to hope, destiny, and the unseen world. Whether calling upon spirits for guidance or warding off bad luck, people throughout history have turned to Halloween as a time to connect, not just with the dead, but with the mysteries of life itself. The enduring spirit of Halloween. From ancient Celtic bonfires to modern haunted houses, the history of Halloween tells the story of humanity's timeless fascination with the unknown. It's a night that bridges worlds, past and present, life and death, fear and fun. Every candle in a jack-o'-lantern, every costume, and every superstition carries echoes of traditions thousands of years old. Halloween reminds us that even in the darkest nights of the year, we find light through storytelling, imagination, and community, the same spirit that has kept this celebration alive for centuries.